When currencies die, governments take you to war because currencies is what gives a government its power. Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here, TGIF ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've had a good week so far. Let me start off by saying that today we will have a live stream at 3 p.m. Alaska time, 7 p.m. Eastern time, right after the Nutrient Survival live stream, where you should go and join in, which is at 2 p.m. Alaska time, because they'll be giving something away, and this is the last day that they'll be giving something away during their live stream. In addition to that, ladies and gentlemen, if you are in the market for freeze-dry food, if you are in the market, meaning that you already have all of the foods that you regularly eat on a regular basis on your shelf, in your pantry, that will cover 6 months minimum to a year. So if you're in the market for freeze-dried food, this is the last day that Nutrient Survival will be doing a 20% off anything that you buy in their store. So take advantage of it if you're in the market for freeze-dried food. And of course, Nutrient Survival is the most nutrient-dense survival food that there is, period. And it tastes really good. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and use the link and the code that is under the description of this video. And I will also try to remember to leave it on a pinned comment. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, if you are on a fixed income, if you are on a pension, all right, and listen, I'm on a pension too, so this applies to me. So I'm not like picking on anyone that's on this or that. If you're on a fixed income, if you're on a pension, you better get ready to lose everything. And I'm going to explain to you why. This is an extension of what I talked about the other day about the Bank of England starting their quantitative easing. If you hear a little bit of meowing in the background, that's Miss Pebbles. She always likes to follow me into the bunker, and then she begs me to leave her out, but she's going to learn her lesson today because she's staying here until I finish this video. But anyway, this is kind of an extension of what the Bank of England has decided to do, to restart quantitative easing and pretty much buy as much of their own bonds as they need to in order to stem the financial markets. Let me give you a quick explanation of how I see it. So when the Bank of England here a couple of days ago, when they started quantitative easing again, and they pretty much said that they are going to buy as much as they have to in order to stem the financial markets, it's because they were probably within minutes or hours away from their entire financial system collapsing. Their pension systems were losing pretty much everything. They had already been drawn down by 50% or so. And this is what I've heard and read from other articles. I'm going to share a short article with you here in a minute, but this is what's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. So let me just give you my example, okay? I try to put it in a way that I understand it, hoping that other people understand it. This is why you will lose everything. And if you live outside of the EU, all right, if you live outside of England or the UK or wherever other country, like here in the United States, don't think this is not going to affect you. This is coming to a city near you. And there is a very scary part that I will get to after I explain this, all right? So let's say that you have a pension, and I'm just going to put a dollar amount or pound amount, right? I'm going to use like $100,000. Let's say you had a pension in there, and it was $100,000 in that pension, right? And your pension went down to $50,000 because the Bank of England was tightening, right? And which means that they were taking pounds out of the system. I'm just going to say dollars because it's easy for me. They were taking dollars out of the system, so they're tightening, quantitative tightening, which is the opposite of quantitative easing, right? So let's say that your pension had gone down. Well, what's going to happen now is that they're doing quantitative easing, that they're buying everything that they need to buy in order to stem their financial system. Is this: your pension will probably go up. Your pension will probably go back up to $100,000, depending on how long they do it. It might go up to $200,000, ladies and gentlemen. But what about the price of the goods that you need to live? What good is your pension having twice as much as what it used to have in it is going to be good to you? What good will it be to you if now the price of petrol, I think that's how you call it over there, petrol, we call it gasoline here, but if the price of petrol went up from $2 a liter to $7 a liter, and for those people that think it cannot happen, have you seen the price of natural gas? Have you seen the price of everything else? At this time last year, did you ever think that the price of natural gas in the EU would go up 5-10 times more than what it was a year ago? No. So why can you not believe that the price of gasoline or petrol will go up 2, 3, 4 times, that the price of your food will go up 2, 3, 4 times? Because what they're doing is very inflationary. What they're doing will show its face in the price of the things that you pay for an everyday basis just to live your life. It will show its face. It will manifest itself here in the next 6 to 12 months. Just like all of the stimulus checks that we were handed out a couple of years ago, guess what? We're paying for those right now. So if you think that they've saved your pension, if you think that they've saved your retirement, they've done the exact opposite. They're going to end up making it a lot worse. All they're doing now is they're kicking that can down the road. That's what they're doing by doing this. And guess what? In a way, that's a good thing, because hopefully between now and the time that you realize that you've lost everything, that you're losing everything because you're paying 10 times more for what you need in order to live, between now and then, maybe you can wake up and protect yourself against the coming hyperinflation. It's going to be hyperinflation. There's no choice. They have no choice but to print. I've said this often on previous videos and live streams, and that is this, is that central banks have one job only, and their job is to continue to create debt. As soon as they stop creating debt, the system will fall. And take a look at what's going on right now. Why do you think the Bank of England had to continue or restart quantitative easing? Because once they stopped printing debt, the system started to fall. But now they're printing debt temporarily, and you know how this temporarily stuff works when it's the government or a central bank talking about it, right? Now that they started to print, next time that they stop to print, next time that they start to go back to quantitative tightening, the system will start falling even faster. And after Europe falls, the US will fall itself. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know that I am not very well spoken as to how I explain to you the things the way that I see them. But my objective is this, is that you at least get a little bit out of what I'm saying, enough so that you can go take a look at these things yourself. So pretty much what I just said there in my last, 4 or 5 minute rant is this, is that if you think that the central banks are fixing the system by printing money, they're doing absolutely nothing. What they're doing is they're making the system even worse when it comes time where they can't print money anymore. And when they can't print money anymore and the system is about to collapse, guess what's going to happen? This is the scary part. They will take us to war. They will take us to a world war. And this is why. Because the only way for the monetary system in the entire world to be reset in one shot is if we have a world war, which will give governments and central banks the excuse to be able to reset the system, leaving the people no options because the people are already in destitute. They will take us to a world war where the world's population will be in destitute, except for the very wealthy. You know, it's not the 1%, probably the 0.1%, except for those folks. And then they will reset the system in their vision. And it never benefits us, we the people. It never has, and it never will. So it is important that we prepare now. And as soon as you hear anything about any country declaring war on anyone, go out there and prep 10 times as much. I'm not a financial advisor, but if I hear that, I will be withdrawing every penny that I can out of the banks and maybe leaving enough for 1 month's worth of bills. That's what I will be doing, because they have no choice. They have no more options. They are out of runway. What they're doing now is the last things that they can possibly do. Let's take a quick look at this article here. It's not very long at all, maybe a 1-minute read. UK Finance Minister statement on BOE move to start unlimited bond purchases. Do you hear this? Unlimited bond purchases. When a central bank buys a bond, it is a debt. The central bank is buying debt from the government. So the government prints this bond and says, hey, can you buy this? I need $100 billion. Then the central banks prints $100 billion out of thin air. Well, it's really the banks that do it, and then the central banks buys it from the banks. But anyways, I think you know what I mean. The central bank buys it. They print $100 billion out of thin air. They hand it to the government. What does that do? It inflates the money supply in the system. That is why your pension will be worth nothing. They're saving your pension just to turn around and kill it, ladies and gentlemen. That is what they're doing. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom here because it doesn't really matter, this stuff right here, but I'll leave the links to these articles on the pinned comment. Global financial markets have seen significant volatility in recent days. The bank has identified a risk from recent dysfunction in gilt markets, so the bank will temporarily, remember that, carry out purchases of long-dated UK government bonds from today, September 28th, in order to restore orderly market conditions. Some of you may be asking, well, AP here says that they're purchasing long-dated government bonds. It doesn't matter if it's long-dated or short-dated. Those monies that they're creating out of thin air are still going to go out into the system. So actually, if they're buying long-dated, that's even worse because the money doesn't get pulled in for even longer than for short-dated bonds. The time to pay the piper is arriving. There's going to be a time where it doesn't matter how much they print. We're either going to have a crack up boom, which means that the market will explode up, but your money will be worthless, or we're going to have a complete crash to where the markets find their fair value. Ladies and gentlemen, meaning what? Meaning that you're going to lose everything in the markets because your pensions are attached to the markets. I can't tell you how important this is. And again, I apologize for not being able to explain it to you in a way that is very, very precise and concise, but please do your own research. To enable the bank to conduct this financial stability intervention, this operation has been fully indemnified by the HM Treasury, which that line didn't really matter. But pretty much what they're saying is that they are going to be buying bonds, and they're going to buy as many of them as they need in order to stabilize the markets. But what they're not telling you is that instead of saving you, they are dooming you in the long run. They are dooming you, dooming your children. And when they finally do run out of runway, they will take us to war because they have no other options. It's the only way that governments can stay in control. I stated in the past that government's power is its currency. Without its currency, a government can't govern. Think about it. Without the government stealing from you, your labor, via the vehicle of the currency that they've issued and made legal tender, they cannot operate. So if the currency goes to zero, then there is no government. So before a currency goes to zero, a government would rather take you to war so that after the war they can reset everything and start with a new system with them still being in power. Let me go ahead through a couple of articles that have nothing to do with this that I found interesting that I got from a couple of our community members. I think it's actually only one that I want to go over. We'll go over the other one maybe later on today during our live stream. And for us here in the United States, we're not out of it, ladies and gentlemen. China tells state banks to prepare for a massive dollar dump and yuan buying spree as Beijing's prior interventions have failed to stem its currency's worst year since 1994. Why is this important to us? Pretty much the same reason that I just said. Because China owns about roughly $1 trillion of U.S. debt, of U.S. bonds. What happens if they flush the market with those bonds? No one is going to buy them. Right now, I'm pretty convinced, I can't prove this to you, but I'm pretty convinced right now that our central bank is buying bonds. Because the bond market has gone down in such a dramatic fashion over the last couple of days. I'm pretty convinced that our central banks here in the U.S. are buying bonds. Who do you think is going to buy all of these bonds that China sells, $1 trillion worth? All right, who's going to buy them? Now, if the public buys them, that would be a great thing. That would be deflationary. That would be a great thing. But the public's not going to buy them. The public is broke. All other countries are broke. You know who's going to buy them? The Federal Reserve is going to buy them. And you know what's going to happen? The same thing that's going to happen in England or in the EU. The same thing. Because once the Federal Reserve takes those monies and prints it out of thin air to pay those bonds, it's going to be inflationary, right? It's China who's going to get those dollars, but what do you think they're going to do with those dollars? They're going to spend those dollars. That's what they're going to do. They're going to take those dollars and flood the markets with dollars, which is going to be very inflationary for the United States Federal Reserve note, ladies and gentlemen. It's the same story pretty much in every country around the world. And that is what leads me to believe that we will enter into a third world war. Nope, it's not because of the Gazprom pipelines or this or that. It's because of currency. When currencies die, governments take you to war because currencies is what gives a government its power. It's what allows them to pay the corrupt. It's what allows them to pay for security. It's the currency that they make legal tender. And unfortunately, I believe that that's where we're going. In addition to that, we are in the major war cycle right now. I want to go ahead and leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you join in later on this afternoon during our live stream. And I do have a really cool video, right? It's a prepping video, right? I consider this prepping video also because it allows us to see what may be coming in the future and we can prepare for that. But this is it's a product review, but it's something that I've never seen before that is really cool, that just came up on my Amazon feed as I was scrolling through Amazon, and I purchased it to show it to you all because it's really cool and I actually really like it. So I hope that you join in for that. It was actually a lot of fun for me to make that video. Other than that, we'll see you again. Remember, this is the last day that you can get anything from the Nutrient Survival Store at 20% off. So if you're in the market for freeze-dried food, take a look at the link under the description of the video, and I will try to remember to leave it on a pinned comment. Having said that, have a great day. See you later on today. God bless every one of you.